What's up, everyone? Kevin here from Skywatcher, and welcome to another episode of the What's Up Webcast. We do this every Friday, 10 a.m. Wait a minute. Why am I hearing stuff? Boop. There. Anyway, welcome to the What's Up Webcast. We do this every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, right here at the Skywatcher USA YouTube channel. My name is Kevin Legore. I am your host. We cover everything from what's up in the nighttime sky to equipment to helpful tips and tricks. And of course, at the end of the month, we have a special guest on to talk about their specialty in the field of astronomy. So today we are talking about our highly anticipated strain wave mount, something that many of you have asked for a while. Well, they're finally on their way, and this is the new Wave series of mounts, and we started this off with the 100 and 150. My audio is low. Let's see. How's that? Is that better? Hopefully that's better, because if I go any higher, we'll start to distort. So hopefully that sounds okay to you guys. Now, let's see. I have that all the way up. Okay. I have this about as loud as I can go before we start to really fall off with the audio. So hopefully that's okay now. All right. So the Skywatcher Wave mounts. We do this every Friday, 10 a.m. Pacific, right here at the Skywatcher USA YouTube channel. And these are our new strain wave mounts, the Wave series. Some of you might have been at NEAC and NEAF a few weeks ago, and you probably got to see these in person. I do have the samples here with me. They're right down here, and I will bring them up as we need them. I know there's going to be a lot of questions today, so this episode might go a little bit long. There we go. So put tape on the knobs. I will do that. That's what blue painter's tape is for. If you like what you see here on the What's Up Webcast, please go ahead and subscribe. We know a number of you are not subscribed, so please go ahead and support the channel. If you can, by just leaving a like. If you have an idea for a What's Up Webcast episode, email us at info@skywatcherusa.com, and we're always looking for ideas. All right, so let's get started introducing the Wave mounts for strain wave. See what we did there? Haha! So let's just go over some of the general features of the mounts, because we have two of them at this time. We have two wave mounts. Some of the features are fairly similar, and some of them are kind of some signature features. So what I'm going to go through right now is the similar features, and then there we go. And then we'll go into the individual mounts themselves. So if you have questions, if you can just kind of hold on to them, maybe towards the end, that would be helpful, or at least while we're on a particular topic. So the Wave mounts. There are two Wave mounts in the series at this time. There's the Wave 100, which you see here on the right, and the Wave 150, the larger one, on the left. Now, as with any strain wave mount, these are made to be compact and lightweight while still providing a very high payload capacity for their size. So you're going for payload to footprint ratio is what you're kind of looking for. Small footprint, big payload. That's what a strain wave is good for. Now, both of the mounts use a DV saddle, so you can use the standard Vixen style or Losmandy style dovetail plates. They come stock that way. They use a strain wave system on both the RA and the deck axes. So pretty similar there. If you're not familiar with what a strain wave basically gear assembly looks like, this is a strain wave. Usually you would have a motor. You can do these in a couple different ways. The way ours is set up is we have a stepper motor with a belt, and then the belt goes up to the wave generator, what you see right here, which is kind of the gear assembly. That sits inside what's called a flexible spline, which is bendable. And then that has teeth on it, and the teeth engage into the wheel here. And it looks something like this. Just got this off of Wikipedia, but that shows you basically how a strain wave system works. You have the wave generator in the middle. You have the flex spline the red portion there, and then you have the outer rigid gear assembly. And a nice thing about a strain wave mount, reason that they don't have a lot of periodic error, if anything, or backlash, is because they always have several teeth engaged at once, where like a typical drive, like a worm and ring gear used on most equatorial mounts, you only have the ring gear and then a few teeth are engaged at any one time. On a strain wave system, you can see there that there are multiple teeth engaged at this particular type of drive. So again, they're strain waves. These do run on 12 volt power, so they actually don't take that much power either. Both of them, I think, are rated for 12 volt 2 amps, so they're fairly low power requirements on it. You could use like the Celestron Power Tank lithiums. That's what I like to use in the field. They work really well. You can run probably one of these all night, depending on the size that you have. But there's also different kinds of power out there if you need to run it. A really unique thing that's kind of cool on these, it's not a major feature, but I really like it and it's a little bit helpful, is the illuminated latitude adjustment and bubble level are actually backlit with a red LED. So if you're trying to level it at night, or you want to adjust your latitude, or you're setting up at night, you can actually see all of that at night. Let me see. Let's do the little one. Here's the Wave 100, the small little thing right here. Hold on just a sec. There we go. This is the Wave 100 mount. Some of you probably saw this guy at NEAF. I don't have it plugged in, but you can see right there, there's the latitude. That would be lit up in red. And if I had thought about this a little bit more, I was trying to get these ready to go. They literally just got here. I would have brought a power pack and plugged it in. And I don't think, wait. Hold on just a second. What is this power supply? 12 volt, this will work. I have a power supply. I don't know if it's the right one though. It is the right one. I don't know if you can see, but let me see if I can get the studio lights off in here. Just a second. Got too many things going on. Turn the office lights off. There we go. You can see the backlit latitude adjuster there. I don't know if you can see it very well. You can see the bubble level right there is back illuminated. There's also the power button. The power button's very tactile. So you turn it off, it clicks on and off, and then the light will blink depending on what the Wi-Fi or wireless connection status is of the mount. So both mounts do the same thing. That's the Wave 100, but the Wave 150 also does that, which is kind of a nifty little feature there if you're setting up at night. There's a lot of questions going on. Is that a Takahashi in the background? Yes, it is. That is a Takahashi FC100DZ back there. It's a new addition for just observing at home. Wanted something lightweight. But we're going to get into premium refractors next week, and we get to talk all about that. So illuminated latitude adjustment and bubble level, a little backlit. It's actually quite nice to have when you're setting up in the evening. Has built-in Wi-Fi. So you can wirelessly control it. They should have Bluetooth in there as well if you want to wirelessly connect from there. A really cool thing about these is they both have homing sensors, just like the CQ350 and the EQ8s. When you turn them on, it will ask you to go to a home position. It will slew to the home position, and that's where it knows to start. That's particularly helpful when you're doing imaging, so you know that you're dead on where you need to be. So both of these have that start point. So yeah, those are just some of the common features. I didn't want to go too much into it, but I figured we'd spend more time inside going over the different mounts and their offerings. So let's start with the smaller ones. This is the Wave 100i. I means Wi-Fi is built in. You don't need a joystick. You don't need any other accessory like our Wi-Fi adapter. You don't need any of that. The Wi-Fi is built into the mount. The minute you turn it on, you just hop on there if you want to do that. Or you can do, oh, you can't see any of my slides. Sorry, got too many screens. There we go. Wave 100i. Thanks, Ash. So, let's see. Here's a question. Will the wave mounts play nice with an ASI Air Plus? Yes, I've already tested that. I used an EQ mod cable, but we do have the USB-B on there. Now, there's a lot of people out there that ask why I promote EQ mod cables over the USB-B. USB is okay. It does work. I just find that the serial connection that an EQ mod cable provides is much more stable and secure over time. So I prefer the EQ mod cable because it has that click lock in there with that RJ45 connector. I think that is way more secure, but the USB is there if you need to do so. So here's the Wave 100i. This is the smaller of the two. Capacity is 22 pounds without a counterweight, or 10 kilograms. 33 pounds with the counterweight. The counterweight assembly is going to be optional, and we'll get into that in just a bit. There's the counterweight kit installed. That's on the 150 model, but it's the same for both of them. So, but we will have a counterweight kit. And the cool thing about the counterweights, if I can get my hand down here, it's the first time we've ever done stainless steel counterweights. So these are stainless steel counterweights, aluminum machined knobs. Everything on here is metal. There is no plastic on these, and there's no paint to chip or anything. These are actual stainless counterweights. And so is the counterweight bar itself. They're made out of the same stainless, and they all have aluminum, machined aluminum, green anodized knobs and toe saver. Some mount head specifications. The Wave 100 weighs 9.5 pounds, about 4.3 kilos. It can do Alt-Az and EQ, which is very nice to do. You also don't need any tools to switch these mounts from equatorial to Alt-Az. They just have a knob on them, and you just adjust it. So that's a pretty large, sorry, kind of transitioning between things. I'm going to switch back to me. Let me see, I can see myself. Here's the Wave 100. This is technically in Alt-Az mode, so it would mount this way. You can see the saddle there. The Wave 100 comes with a second saddle, and that can be mounted here. This is where the counterweight bar would do. There's a threaded cap here. You pop that off. There's the thread for the counterweight bar. These 4 screw holes allow you to mount the included secondary saddle right here, and that allows you to do side-by-side tandem mounting. So if you want to do outreach or solar or eclipse chasing, you can bolt the second saddle on. Obviously there's a bolt pattern of how this all works together, and I don't have everything out of the box at the moment, but you would bolt that onto the secondary mount here, and you would have a saddle here and a saddle here, and they both rotate together. So that gives you a tandem capability, which is really helpful for outreach, and particularly the fact that we just had an eclipse. If I would have had this for the eclipse, it would have made my life a lot easier. But you can easily switch these from Alt-Az to equatorial. No adjustment or no tools needed. You just big knob right here. These are a little tight. But you just rotate that just like you're doing a latitude adjustment. That's all you're doing. You can loosen up those, and it takes a little bit of time to do it, but you can see you're just doing that. That's all you need to do on either one of the mounts. You don't need any wrenches or tools or anything like that to actually switch between the counterweight and all of that. Is the counterweight bar threading M12? I don't know. I don't have a thread checker here in the office. That's out in the storage area. I can always check. I would email support@skywatchusa.com and ask Alex, and we'll get the thread specs probably today. I just didn't have time to actually check that before the webcast started. It looks to be bigger than M12 though. I mean, there it is right there. If you guys can actually see the threads right there, they're pretty good size. If you want really, really quickly, I can put you guys on pause really quick and I can run out and check that. If you guys really want to know right now, probably wouldn't hurt, wouldn't take too much time. But we can check it. We have the samples in my possession now, so I can measure stuff. So anyway, back to that. How well does the 100 work with Sky Safari and Alt-Az mode? I haven't had a chance to mess with Sky Safari yet, but it should work like just any of our other mounts. You have to open our app, SynScan Pro, to do the alignment and the initialization. And then from there, you would move over to Sky Safari. So there shouldn't be any reason why it doesn't work. I just have not had a second to go do that. Does the second saddle come with it, or is it an add-on? The secondary saddle for the Wave 100 will come with the mount as a stock feature. It comes in the case when you get it. So you'll have that secondary saddle in there once you get the mount right out of the box. Like I said, it does have dual saddles. Both saddles are DV saddles, so you can actually put whatever you want on there as long as it's within the payload capacity. Both mounts do have power braking. What power braking is on a strain wave mount is when you turn the power off, it doesn't just fall to the side. Some early strain wave mounts were known to have that issue, which is frightening. These ones, like a lot of the modern ones now, but ours in particular, you turn that off, it locks. It will not move. So you will need power to use these mounts, period. There's no manual method of using these mounts. So if you're using a strain wave, they have to be powered, just so you know. So here's some of the ports that are on the side there. This is actually on the front of the Wave 100. The ports are on the front. So real quick, there's the USB-B. This is for PC control updates. You can use this to connect to an ASI Air if you wanted to. Again, I prefer the EQ mod cable. I just think they're more secure, but they both do the same thing. But the USB-B is there to do firmware updates and PC control. We have the hand controller port. One nice thing that I really like about these, being somewhat of a visual observer and doing a lot of outreach, is I like being able to use a hand controller. I like having a more tactile control. So with the Wave mounts, you can actually use our SynScan hand controller. So if you already have an equatorial mount, like an EQ6R or an EQM35 or something like that, you can take the hand controller and you can just plug it in here and you're off to the races. You have a full hand controller. You don't have a joystick. You don't need the app. You don't need a box. You can just use the hand controller and treat it like a regular mount, but you still get that really nice small form factor. This will be really nice for our visual observers who want the ability to have a strain wave mount, and they want that payload capacity and they want that lightweight capability, while still being able to kind of use it as a normal mount without needing a tablet or anything like that. So you can actually use our hand controller. If you don't have a hand controller, you can buy it. It's optional. You can use the Wi-Fi built in and play with it. Or you can get the SynScan hand controller and you've got a real controller. We do have the typical ST4 guide port. If you need it, it's there. If you're going to auto guide, that's how you do it. Or you could do, USB with the modern stuff through the computer that you're running. And then, of course, we have the 2.1 millimeter power port on there. And again, it's about 12 volt, 2 amps to run one of these mounts. Let me get some of the questions that are floating in here before we move on. Don't know the counterweight bar threading. I do believe it's bigger than M12. I should have checked that earlier, but maybe if someone writes what the threads are down in the comments of this video, after this is over, I'll go check it and respond to it in there. was the max slew speed? Good question. Impressively, the wave mounts have the ability to slew 10 degrees per second. They are some of our fastest slewing mounts that we've ever made, which means you can probably do some pretty decent satellite tracking with these mounts, but they're about 10 degrees a second for the wave mounts. They're very fast in comparison to our other mounts. They're very quiet while they do it as well. So that's pretty cool. How do we polar align these without a polar scope? We do have the electronic polar alignment feature in this, like all of our other mounts. So you would go that route, or if you're using ASI Air, you can do the plate solving methods. There's a couple ways to do it, but the hand controller or the app has a polar alignment feature. What you'd normally do is do a 1 or 2 star alignment. The mount will then slew over to a star that you've selected, and then basically you physically adjust the mount till the star is in the position and just follow the prompts, and then it adjusts for it. Besides the counterweight bar, what kind of metal is involved in the mount? All the mount is machined aluminum, anodized machined aluminum for the housings of these mounts. Let's see. Answered that question. Are the saddle mount knobs hand tighten only? Is there a way to use Allen keys? No. So the knobs on the mounts themselves on the saddles, you can see here, they're only for fingers. We don't have a wrench or anything able to go in and make those adjustments. So these are done by hand. There's no hex key on these knobs to change that. So sorry. Okay, let's get to the bigger one. The Wave 150. For our imagers out there, this is probably going to be the mount of choice. The Wave 100 is a great grab and go mount, and that tandem feature means it's probably really good for eclipse chasing and outreach and travel and solar capability, and it does well for imaging. But the Wave 150 has been set up with the imager in mind. So there's some really unique features on the larger one besides payload capacity that will speak more towards the imager in the group here. So capacity here is 33 pounds, 15 kilograms without a counterweight. You can see right there, that is a picture of our 8-inch Quattro. The Quattro 200 on the Wave 150 has no problem throwing that around. We actually put a MN190, our 190 millimeter Mac Newtonian, and an Esprit 120, not at the same time, but we pounded both of those on this mount during NEAF just to try it out a little bit more. It had no problem moving those tubes around without counterweights. So it's a pretty impressive system. What impresses me, though, is with a counterweight, this thing can handle 55 pounds. So I'm trying to get a hold of a C14 to see how well this thing will hold one of those things, because theoretically it should. But for a lot of the obvious tubes on the market, the Wave 150 should be able to handle them in some way, shape, or form. There's the counterweight bar on the Wave 150. Now, the Wave 150 does not have the secondary saddle that the Wave 100 does. That's a unique feature to the 100. The 150 has cable management built in. That's why I said it's better suited for imagers. But we'll get into that in a minute. But there is a small cap underneath the Wave 150's RA axis. Let me pull the big guy up here. Ugh. It's a little bit heavier. Okay, let me get to full screen for me. And I'm stuck on everything. Here's the Wave 150. It actually has the mounting puck on it. This is to do the pier extension. So there's the puck on there. So the Wave 150 underneath, you can see right there, there's the counterweight cover. You just thread that off and the counterweight threads right in there. So no big problem there. I'm just going to keep this in my lap because we'll need it a couple times. There we go. Let's see. Continuing on. Whoops. Some mount head specifications for the 150. It weighs 12.8 pounds, about 5.8 kilograms. Does also do alt-az and equatorial on this, but like I said earlier, this does not have a secondary saddle for it. So you can only have one scope on this, but it does alt-az and equatorial. Does have power braking. Both of them have power braking on it. It does have cable management. This is the unique thing about the Wave 150, and I think a lot of the imagers out there are going to like this. So let's break down some of the cables on this system. This is on the back of the right Ascension. So what I like about the Wave 150 is the 150 has all of the ports for running the mount on the back of the RA, which means nothing is moving, which is awesome. So let's break this in half. Everything on the right-hand side, you'll see it here. Everything we're about to talk to is just to run the mount itself. The remaining ports are there as outputs for the saddles. So here's the 2.1 millimeter power port, hand controller port, and the USB-B port. 2.1 for power, hand controller port. You could either use the optional hand controller or, of course, an EQ mod cable. And then you have the USB-B if you're doing firmware updates, so you're running it via that. So now the other ports over here, this is the 2.1 power for the saddle. There are 2.1 millimeter ports for power up on the saddle. And then there is also a USB insert in there as well. And so that routes through the mount, and then this is where it would all plug in behind it, which is really nice because you can manage your cables without having any kind of cable drag or things getting snagged or anything like that. So the purple arrow right here, this port right here, you would have a secondary power source that would run all the power up on the saddle. And then this is your deck USB. So if you're plugging anything up in the deck, it would pop out right there, essentially. So here's the side of the mount. Here's the saddle. You can see right there, there's the 2.1 millimeter power ports. So again, remember, you would plug into here, and then the power is routed back over here. And then you have the USB input, and then the guide port is there on the deck. So the nice thing is pretty much your entire imaging system would plug into the saddle rather than you have cables hanging off and doing all this stuff. This makes it way easier to prevent cable drag, which affects guiding, or things getting snagged. So we have cable management built into the Wave 150, which currently, as far as I know, we are the only ones as of this recording who offer this as a standard option, as a standard built-in option when you get the mount. It comes with it. It's that way. You don't add on anything. There's not another variant. It just comes this way. So I think for our imagers, that's a very nice thing to have. One very unique thing is balance clutches. That's what I like to call them. The 150, as far as I know, is the only strain wave mount that does this. You can actually balance it. So you have two clutch screws on the deck. Now, why I call these balance clutches rather than true clutches is these are only used to balance, and they only give you just enough leeway to do balancing. You cannot manually do this. So let me just loosen the deck ones here and we'll show you. They need to be backed out a bit. So probably about 20 degrees, I would say. So on the deck assembly, let me go to full screen here so you guys can actually see it again. Here we go. So here's the deck. I have taken the stops out. Here's the screws. They thread into little holes underneath. But you can see you have about, I would say, 20 degrees or so of movement. So this is just enough movement for you to be able to balance in the deck axis. So, And then when you've got it balanced, you reinsert the little screws. They thread back into these little holes in the saddle to keep that lined up again. Here's one of them. So there's one, and then the other one fits back in here. So you can actually balance the mount there. Let me get this guy in here before I misplace it or something. So like I said, you have about 20 degrees to work balance that way. And then, of course, the right ascension has this knob right here. This is the RA balance. And this gives you about 90 degrees or so to work with. So here's that knob right up top on the RA. You loosen this out. This one actually, I think you can unthread the whole thing. Yeah, you can unthread it. It's more of like a pin. It's like a lock. But when you do so, okay, you have about 180 degrees to work with on this. So, because there does need to be hard stops because of the cable management system. So you're actually able to balance this in the RA and the deck axis. And you have just enough movement to do that. So you can't freely move this all over the place. It cannot go manual. You need power in order to have the slew and the motors work and all that. But these balance clutches are there to where you have just enough room to balance the payloads, and then you get everything ready to go and you're all set. So that's kind of a really unique feature to the 150, as well as its cable management as well. So you have the deck clutch and you have the RA clutches for balancing. Wave accessories. So we have a couple accessories that are very specific to these mounts. They're designed a little bit differently than anything else we've got currently. Number one is the carbon fiber tripod, which I don't know if you can, but you can see right here. You can see I can pick all that up with one hand. It weighs nothing. So that's a woven carbon fiber tripod. Max payload for this tripod is 44 pounds. That should be 20 kilograms, not 40. 44 pounds is the max payload for the carbon tripod. And before all of you freak out and say, well, the Wave 150 can hold more than that, you're right, and we'll get to that. Retracted length is only 19.7 inches, so just under 20 inches long. So it could fit in a check bag. I think technically that could fit in a carry-on, technically. It'd be tight, but you could do it. Extended length, 29 inches. So you've got enough movement. But and the whole weight's 5.3 pounds for the tripod. So it's very lightweight, which is great if you're traveling. It's not the heavy-duty option that you'll need if you're trying to maximize the payload. But if you're just going out in the field or you're eclipse chasing or you need something that's lightweight, the carbon fiber tripod is an option. It does have all aluminum hardware on it, so it's all machined and black anodized to match the Wave mounts. And this one is compatible with the Wave 100 and 150 mounts. Now the foot on the Wave 100 and 150, the little dovetail assemblies under here, you can kind of see right there the mounting dovetail. The Wave 100 is a little bit smaller than the 150, so when you get the mount, when you get the tripod, we have like a step down collar that you put on it, and it allows it to sit inside of the pier extension or the carbon fiber tripod. Is the Wave 100i carbon fiber tripod compatible with the Star Adventure GTI mount head? The threading is technically the same size, so theoretically you could use this for one of those, but what you'd probably need to do, because I don't know if you guys can see, I'll just hold it right here. Hold on, let me just do this. This is a video, we should dig into all of it, so bear with me just a second. There we go. All right, so I have not tested this yet, and I don't know that I have the part laying around. It's probably out in the... But let me actually get this to go full screen so you guys can see. So the threading inside of here, that is a standard 3/8 thread, or I think it's an M10 by 1.5. It works with M10 and it works with photo 3/8. You can see, got too much going on here. You can see down in here, this little cup, if you will, this is designed to accept the footprint of a wave mount. But if you wanted a Star Adventurer or a GTI, what you would probably need to do, because it won't fit down in the cup here, is you would need to get the AZ GTI or Star Adventurer Pure extension, the little white and black extension. That would probably sit down inside here, thread onto that, and then it would get to where you could mount whatever you wanted on top. But I haven't tested that yet, but from the looks of it, it should be very simple. So without having done it, I will say it's probably very likely that you can mount a Star Adventurer or an AZ GTI to this tripod if you want something that's really lightweight, but you will need the Pure extension for that mount to work. So that's an option. Most likely a thing, though, and I'll try to test that out. That's why the samples are here now, as I can play with all of that. Okay, let's get back to it. Boop. Pure extensions. So we are going to have Pure extensions for this mount, but there are going to be two versions of them. One of them's already on the website. The price is actually going to be the same. One of them's on the website already. They look exactly alike. They look like this. A black aluminum piece of metal. And then on top, we've got our little thread-in piece, and then that'll just drop in once the screws are actually out of the way. That'll drop in, and that gives you about a 7-inch extension. And this works on the tripod by just popping down in the little cup right there and tightening it, or you can thread the spreader up there as well, so it locks it in that way as well. But there's going to be one of these. There's two extensions. They're exactly the same except for one thing. The basic one is for the carbon fiber tripod, so it gives you a bit of an extension, about 7-inch height increase, so you have more clearance for your tube. That works for the Wave carbon fiber tripod only, and it is not required for you to use it. The Wave mounts will actually mate right to the tripod without the extension, but if you need some height increase, you can get the extension and pop that up on top there, and that works really well, but it's not required. Now, the second thing, actually, here we go. So here it is. There's the extension up there. It's only compatible with the carbon tripod, and it's not required to use the carbon tripod. Now, I say that because there's actually a second Pure extension that's coming, which we should have up on the website in probably a couple weeks, hopefully. Price is going to be the same. It looks exactly the same. However, this Pure extension is specific for the EQ6 tripod. So this allows you to mate the Wave mounts to any existing EQ6 tripod. That includes the EQ6, AZ EQ6, and EQ6Rs. So if you already have that tripod, you can make that work by using the EQ6 extension. Now, if you want to mate a Wave mount to the heavy-duty stainless tripod of an EQ6, you have to get the EQ6 extension. So it's not just an extension, it's also an adapter. So that's why I like to call this the EQ6 Pure adapter, because that's what it's doing. It's giving you the 7-inch extension, but it's also adapting it to an EQ6 tripod. Now, we are also going to be offering, which should also be coming out soon, we'll get more details out, there will be a EQ6 tripod that is built for the Wave mounts. Basically, the only difference is it's black. It matches the rest of the Wave mounts, because I, like many of you, want it all to look nice, so we got it in black. So you can see there, that's how it would all look together. But if you have an existing EQ6 already, or if you have a tripod for an EQ6 laying around, this you just have to get the pure extension for the EQ6 tripod, and you can mount your wave mount right to that steel tripod. And if you are trying to get the max payload out of particularly the Wave 150 mount, you would want the steel tripod. The steel tripod will allow you to achieve the max 55-pound payload capacity, while the carbon is more of your heading out into the field, lightweight, weighs nothing tripod. Not that the EQ6 tripod weighs that much either. I think it's like 15 pounds, but it's not something that you would stick in a backpack or a carry-on or fly with. That's where the carbon would come in handy. So we basically have carbon fiber tripod for lightweight and steel tripod for the heavy-duty options. There's a bunch of questions here. Let me go back in there. Do you guys have any promotional plan for pre-orders like ZWO did? No. They are for sale. They're for pre-order, but there's no special price. Could you please confirm the 100 and 150 have out as brakes when the mounts are off? Yes, both mounts have power braking when they're turned off. Nothing will flop around. It just stops. So it's locked in place. Both mounts are that way. The Wave 150 fit on a ZWO carbon tripod. Is the puck diameter the same? No idea. I can go ahead and test that. If you guys want to put some of these questions in the chat, I have a lot of this already, but if you put it in the chat, I will go through the chat. I will test what I have the capability of testing. I do have a AM5 that I can try that out on and see if it actually fits. If not, then I'll let you know. But if you have questions that I don't have an answer to right now, please put them down in the comments and we will go through and answer them, like the counterweight threads. Let's see. What would you say are the two top reasons to purchase these over the red competition? Well, we're Skywatcher. No, I'm just kidding. So number one, Skywatcher's been doing this for over 25 years. We have solidified ourselves as one of the major companies. And if you need tech support, our team is only a phone call away. So we're very easy to get a hold of if you have any issues. Number two, we have also taken the time to really see what people are looking for. So the fact that you don't need tools to do alt-as to EQ. The small mount uses tandem plates, so you can easily have that feature. And then our larger mount has more payload capacity plus the cable management. There's a couple reasons right there. If we're tooting our own horn, which this is our webcast, we can definitely do that. But like I said, we've been doing this for a long time, and we have the tech support to back ourselves up if you ever need anything, particularly here in the States. There are other distributors around the world that are also there for Skywatcher to help you and assist you if you need any help. And then, of course, we have all these nifty little features. Let's see. Does the Wave 100i have a travel box? Actually, yes, both of them come with a case, and they're just out of reach. Let me see if I can get them. Now, these are prototype cases, but there is the case. It has one of our 25th anniversary patches, which I don't think some of you have seen this patch unless you were at NEAF. This is only handed out at shows. A lot of you have seen the totem patch, but let me make this bigger. We also have 25th anniversary patches, which are not handed out and shipped. Well, they're not shipped out. These are actually handed out at shows. So we still have some of those there. But this is what the case looks like. It's actually a hard case there. And then we have a neoprene style foam in there. That's machined. So this is the Wave 150 box. So you can see it's got room in there for a controller, a mount head, and then the counterweight bar. You can see there's the counterweight bar extension kind of hidden in there. But this is probably what these will come in, or very, very similar. So yes, they will come with a case. The Wave 150 Wave 100 has its own special case as well. Let's see. Did that one. What's the periodic error? I don't have that yet. I've been waiting for weather. And like I said, these mounts went to NEAF and then they came to California to do photos, and now they're finally back here with me to do some more field testing. So I'm hoping to get these out and getting some measurements on periodic error over the next few weeks. So we'll see what we got. Are there locks on the Altaz and altitude thumb adjustment screws? I'm not sure what you're asking. There's no locks because it's a strain wave. So strain waves can't be used with a clutch assembly like a regular mount would. Will there be an adapter for a QHY Pole Master? Don't know. I'm sure you could figure out a way to adapt it, but we don't have a native adapting capability for it. But ADM or somebody, I'm sure, will have something for it, but we don't. Counterweight kit. So here's our counterweight kit. This is optional. This is on the website right now if you want to take a look at that. It's a 12.5 inch, roughly 12.5 inch bar. Again, it's stainless steel, just like the counterweight, green, anodized, aluminum, toe saver there. When you get the kit, there's also a 6.5 inch extension, so you can put the weight out further. And the counterweight itself is 11 pounds, also stainless steel, which we showed off there. I am going to see if we can get these offered on their own as well, but I don't have an answer for that right now. If you need more counterweights, be nice if we could do all stainless on all of our counterweights. That might open up a conversation. All of it is green anodized trim, and it is aluminum. These are not plastic knobs like our white counterweights. These are actually metal machined knobs, which is also very nice. And this is compatible with the 100 and the 150 as well. And again, we will get the thread pitch size of the counterweight there as well. So let me look through these questions. Can you keep your out position while putting it in the case? No. You do have to return these to the 90-degree position to fit in the cases. At least the prototype cases were that way, so I'm assuming production is that way as well. It would be nice if we didn't have to do that, but we'll see what we can do on that. But right now, the answer to that is no. If you're traveling with them, they have to go back in the 90-degree position to fit inside the case. What's the altitude range? It does Altaz and equatorial, so 0 to 90 degrees is your latitude range. Will they work in 45°C heat in Dubai? Well, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, so if you give me a couple months, I will definitely let you know if they can handle it. I have no doubt. I have left all of our other mounts out in crazy hot temperatures here in the Arizona area, and haven't had a problem with them, so I don't expect the strain waves to perform any differently. So they probably work just fine. I would love to see a Wave 50 model for smaller rigs. Is that even scalable? Don't know. We can always have that conversation. Right now, we're just trying to get the 100 and the 150 out the door. Then maybe we will be able to do something in the future, but we'll get the two figured out, and then we'll see where we go from there, because people at NEAF were already asking, hey, is my audio okay now? I backed it down a little bit. I think it was too close. So I backed it up a little bit. Not sure why the audio is being so weird this morning. I did do an update on the system, so it might be freaking out a little bit. But let's get the Wave 100 and 150 out, and then we'll have conversations about where we go from there. I wouldn't say no to anything, but we need to see where these two go first. We did have some people asking if we could do like a Wave 200 or a Wave 250 in the future. Here's the thing about strain waves and scaling them up, because I've heard a lot of conversations about having larger ones. It's not that the technology isn't there. You could definitely make a larger strain wave. There's no question that that can't be done. However, when you scale a strain wave, you have to remember what the goal of a strain wave mount is. It's normally a compact, lightweight mount that has a fairly high payload capacity. But with that, you need to have a very stable mount tripod underneath it. Because if you do not have that and you're not balanced, your system will fall over. Now, on smaller systems, it's a little easier to navigate that. But as you go larger, you're going to have problems with it. So let's say we made a Wave 250 for argument's sake. You would need to have something like a CQ350 tripod or an EQ8 Pier to hold that system down so it doesn't fall over. So you kind of defeat the purpose of having this lightweight compact mount, because the tripod that's going to be required to hold it needs to be huge. So you need to keep that in mind, that yes, you could easily scale up a strain wave mount, but as you go up, it makes less and less sense to have it. That's just my personal opinion. All right, so that's pretty much the overview of the strain wave mounts. I know there's a bunch of questions in here. We'll try to navigate that really quick. We've got a few minutes. Let's see. After polar alignment, how does the mount hold that position? Some competition mount loses the polar alignment after tightening the locks. If Skywatcher addressed that. Well, when you polar align our mounts, it should shift the alignment over so it knows it's moved that amount. Sometimes, unless you really want to go back and realign the mount, but you should polar alignment and then it should know that it's moved. So if I use a hand controller on the 100 for Alt-Az star alignment instead of SynScan, can I use Sky Safari directly? No. On our mounts, you can't switch between one or the other. If you do an alignment in the controller, all the alignment data is in the brain, which is in the controller. If you switch between that, it won't transfer over. So you either need to choose hand controller or Wi-Fi. You can't jump between the two at this time. So, sorry. Yes, I just got word that keep an eye out for Aurora tonight because we are in the middle of a massive solar storm. I know we're expecting Aurora probably as far south as Arizona. So if you're in the northern latitudes, definitely go outside tonight and see if you can get some Aurora. So that's just a little side comment from there. So thanks, guys. Any recommended OTA ideal for these mounts? So for the Wave 100, I would probably pick like our EvoStar 80, Esprit 80. You could probably use the Quattro 200 or 150. Those probably would work fine. The Wave 100 is really good for those small refractors and small reflecting telescopes. The Wave 150 with its heavier payload, Esprit 120, maybe even a 150. I need to really run it through its paces for focal length testing and see how long of a focal length we can really get out of it. For visual use, I see these being very, very popular because of the hand controller feature, that you could easily use these to go out in the field. I definitely plan on having these become some of my outreach mounts because they're so convenient and lightweight, and not having to lug counterweights around really streamlines that setup. With the AZ EQ6, the stated capacity to be run on both sides in dual saddle mode, is that the case with the Wave 100? It should. I plan on running that through its paces. The Wave 100 should do pretty well with a pretty decent payload on both sides of the mount. But if you really want to maximize it, I would probably put it on the EQ6 tripods just to get the max payload out of it. I think the carbon fiber tripods are great. And I think if you're just a lightweight package and you're doing travel or eclipse chasing or something lightweight in the field, having the carbon fiber tripod is nice, but I would highly recommend looking at the EQ6 tripod for rigidity and getting the maximum payload out of these mounts. I would highly recommend the steel tripod, and it should be the price shouldn't be much different, if not a little bit less, but we'll see. We're still working on that, but that's coming up. Let's see. Can you use the whole capacity for imaging? Like any mount, you can max out a mount for imaging, but again, it comes down to rigidity. So I would still keep the payload a little bit lower and not max it out. But again, if you are going to push these mounts as with any other mount, make sure the tripod is really decent. So honestly, if you're trying to push these to the highest payload capacities, you want to use that steel tripod or get yourself an EQ6 tripod. Like I said, we're going to have a special one made for the wave mounts, black version that will match up with it. So definitely, if you want max payload, make sure you look at the steel tripod when it becomes available. But the carbon will be really nice if you're traveling and you want to maintain that lightweight footprint. Let's see. I think that's it. So right now the wave mounts are available for pre-order. You can go through your favorite dealers right now. If you want to know more about them, you can go to skywatcherusa.com or talk to your local distributor about details on that, especially for pricing and availability if you're outside the North American region. Definitely head over and take a look at that. The first shipments of these, I think, are planning to head out in August. So if you are on pre-order, the first shipment should be heading out in a few months. But yeah, just be patient. We're working on them. We're getting them out there. But we're excited to see them. I wouldn't be surprised if you start seeing reviews pop up over the next few months, especially once we start to get more samples and shipments in, that you'll probably be seeing them pop up all over the place, because a lot of people were really excited about these being announced at NEAF. So we're really excited to be here in the strain wave world. We know everyone's been asking about these for a couple years, but we're here with them, and we've got 2 to start. Maybe we'll add more, we'll see, but we got to get these out the door first. But again, if you have technical questions that I was not able to answer, you can either email us at support@skywatcherusa.com or leave a comment down in the comments of this video. And then that way I can go through and check them and get you guys the details, like if it's thread sizes or whatever. I'll be happy to get those answers to you as I have the ability to get that. Should I sell my AVX for a wave mount? Yes. Not even a conversation. The AVX is a very nice mount, by the way. I'm not knocking that, but I think a lot of people will be very happy with the wave mounts. What's the price points? Actually, these are all on skywatcherusa.com right now, except for a couple little accessories that we're going to be looking at soon. You can just click here. There's all the pricing right there. So you can see the Wave 100 is $16.95 for the mount head, $21.95 for the Wave 150 head. You can see these are very competitive. Carbon fiber tripod, $375, extensions, $165, and the counterweight kits are $110. We should have some other offerings coming soon, so definitely keep an eye on the web pages here as we keep them up to date and add some of these other accessories like the EQ6 steel tripod and the EQ6 extension. You'll see those pop up, as well as maybe some other little things that we'll put together for them. But what's the effective focal length that the mounts can handle? Gotta test that. The factory and the engineering has tested that, but I like testing things here a little bit more. So we're going to push them quite a bit. So again, if you have questions, you can either leave a comment, you can email us at support@skywatcherusa.com, and we will get those details as they open up a little bit more once I have more hands-on experience with them. We just haven't had time with the Eclipse and NEAC and NEAF. April was really chaotic, so there just wasn't enough time to get everything ironed out to present everything. So I have the mounts now. You've seen them. They do really exist. And then you'll start seeing more of them over the next couple months as we start getting more of these in. But we're very excited to have them. Thank you guys for being patient. I understand you will be waiting a while. They're here, and we are doing our best to get them here as fast as we can, while still maintaining that high level quality that we always want to do. So what's the next week's show? Next week's show, thank you. I'm going to peruse through this really quick. So that's it for this week. Next week, we're talking about what makes a premium refractor. Now, premium refractors, obviously there's a lot of mass-produced stuff out that looks very nice, but maybe it's not optically up to snuff. Maybe there are telescopes out there that are optically good, but mechanically not quite there. And then we have what's called the premium class. The premium class is where everything has been thought through, but you definitely pay for it. Kind of like the scope back here, the Takahashi that's sitting back here. We're going to talk about Takahashi, stellar view, tech, astrophysics, all of that. And then what things really set that apart. So we're going to go into details about that. That's next week. And then that's it for this week. So that wraps it up. Thank you guys very much for watching. Very thin crescent moon this weekend. So if you're going out to get some dark sky sights, now's a perfectly good weekend to do it. Happy Mother's Day to anybody out there who's a mom. And we will see you guys next Friday. Take care, everyone. Clear skies, and go pre-order your wave mounts from your favorite dealer. So thanks very much. Take care. Any comments or questions, put them down in the comment section. We'll do our best to answer those here soon. Thank you very much. Take care. Clear skies, and have a good weekend. Bye.